The Collage of Health. Today's Akashic report is for September 5th, 2024. A couple biblical passages just kind of popped into my mind. One wasn't specific for the number, but it was Corinthians, and the other was Proverb 4. Proverb 4 came up right away, and I'm not going to get into the specifics on these passages, but if you're interested, feel free to kind of look it up yourself and do your own digging. So the messages today, which is not unusual, were cryptic. The first thing that came up was an avalanche, and then dog days of summer are upon you, and then a christening, and then Pluto. So just want to mention, if you're not familiar with astrology, Pluto makes a transit back into a sign every like 250 years. So Pluto in Capricorn was when our country was birthed in 1776. And it's like a Pluto return to that period of time, however many years later. So Pluto's been in Capricorn for the last couple of years, and it's kind of been in and out. It moved into Aquarius a bit ago, and now it is segueing for the rest of the year, pretty much, I think, September to close to December of this year, segueing back into Capricorn. And so what does that mean? Capricorn is very much about structures and top-down hierarchy. So whatever was put into place when our country was birthed in the United States in 1776 is now up for review. And anything that's lacking in integrity, Pluto usually pulverizes, so to speak. And it's kind of a slow chipping away. It's not like bang. It can be, but it's usually like a slow chipping away over a period of time. And that's been going on with this transit for leaving Pluto. It's been happening for the last couple of years, where it's kind of inching out, inching back. So the anorectic degree is the last degree in an astrological sign, and it's not seen as very positive. It's usually kind of a negative degree, where it's just kind of the finality of the just final cleanup work that is happening. So it's interesting that that's occurring now. Next year, Pluto will go into Aquarius permanently for the next 20 years. So big change. It's been in Capricorn since 2008, but again, it's kind of an up for review because it's gone back into Capricorn over the last however many years since 2008, what is like 16 years or whatever. Now it's from 2008, and now it's kind of like, what have we done to clean up what we started when the country was formed. And in 2008, there was the banking crisis. So it's interesting, in the records today, Pluto came up, and indeed it is re-entering Capricorn for a couple of months before it finally leaves. So I went up to the clouds, and I just was held. So when I go into outer our space, it's usually really peaceful. It's just this very calm, peaceful, relaxing feeling that I get. When I view Earth from up above, it just seems very dark and heavy and dualistic and negative, I guess is a good word for it. It's like you're in this peaceful space and you're like, oh yeah, like that's what you're dealing with every day, and you don't even realize it, right? So there's a little contradiction in this message, because I'm talking about that heaviness, but also later in the message, it gets into enjoying our time here and this earth plane. Jesus escorted me over the earth. I saw Antarctica Yemen, Siberia. Then I saw a graveyard. And then the message was, don't plunder into darkness. Do not despair. All will be well in the end. And then Corinthians came up. Follow the path of the light, find joy on your earthly plane. And then I saw a map and a little small being pointing to something on the map. And it seemed like it was, let's see, did I turn the page correctly? It was Arkansas, and then Zurich, Istanbul, Fort Knox, and Fort Knox is a military site, if you're not familiar with that. Carrier planes, which I didn't know what that meant, but I guess they're military planes. Cargo planes. I asked, is there anything we could do? And they said, humble yourself to the divine and the divine spark within. All is temporal on earth. This light that shines within is also above and is eternal. This is to be remembered. So what is temporal is everything outside of us, and anything inside of us that connects us with the divine light is what is eternal. I saw like a light show in the sky. I'm not sure what that meant. And then it said, you will be catapulted to the future. Find those people in your life that are true to your heart. Alchemy. And then I saw like Gabrielle in heaven, and it was almost like the judgment card with the trumpet. And then I saw the year 2026 to 2027. The election I asked about, and they said, step back from any duality. There is no winning without losing. That's what they said. There's no winning without losing. So I thought that was really an interesting message. Dark forces. The dark forces have been sent from the divine. Wow. Trumpet blowing again. And then I see people like the Walking Dead coming forward, a grand uniting of all souls. I feel this pain in my heart as I write this down about these Walking Dead coming in and like a grand uniting of souls. And then Istanbul came up again. The corner of darkness will be revealed and wiped clean. Oh, then they said pillow talk. And I didn't know what pillow talk meant. I don't have a partner, so I wasn't really sure what they meant by that. But they said pillow talk. And then I got a sense that it had to do with a dream I had last night. And I had had a property in Virginia that I was at by myself with my dog, and the power would go out, and it was pretty scary because, you know, I'm in this remote property, and the power engaged the well pump and yada yada. It was like the winter and cold and icy and nobody around. And so my dream was that scene, but I had already experienced it, and I was with family members, and I was able to kind of tell them like the power went out, like they didn't recognize. They're like, what happened? And I was like, well, the power went out. So, and we were at that Virginia property, which I have since sold. Okay, what else? I went up to the celestial realm, and there was dancing beings rejoicing. And they said, there isn't much time left for you. Rejoice in the now. Find pure peacefulness there. So I guess that's a message for all of us. Like there's never like, and they kind of laughed about not much time, because in the celestial realms, there are, you know, there is no time. Time only exists here. But they said basically like everything needs to be appreciated right now because it's temporal, and we need to recognize this more today than ever because all we have is today, right? Then I was looking down on the earth, very dense, painful, heavy scene, and they said, all is within God's plan. Do not despair, all will be well, all will be righted. Give it time. And they laughed. And then I heard a plane flying overhead. So that plane that comes by every day that I'm sitting in meditation around, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning, always flies over. And then the main situation, if you've been following the main situation, it felt like it was going to work out for everybody. Justice will be served. And then the Ozarks, Arkansas and the Ozarks came up. And then the deceased Pope John Paul II came up. So I don't know what about the previous Pope came up, or one of the previous popes. I'm not sure if he was the last Pope or not. Any advice for people listening on the YouTube? And they said, put your life in order, clean up your loose ends. Time to start anew. Be prepared for anything. Bow down and give gratitude for all that you have. Everything is temporal. What has been lost will be found. So that's the message for today. I just feel a need to re-emphasize that we live in a paradigm where we're always looking outside of ourselves and letting the outside dictate us rather than us dictate the outside. And I think one of the opportunities that we're being given at this time, especially in this juncture between the old and the new, and who knows how long this juncture space is going to last. But it's to really realize, like, let's say the banks, closed. Let's say we went from a cash-based system to a digital, and there was some kind of hiatus between the two. What is our relationship with money? How do we see money? Are we afraid of money? Do we hold on to it? Are we greedy about it? Are we like someone who just spends mindlessly and has like an addictive spending? Do we save so much that, we're just not even enjoying our life? Or do we spend frivolously? Do we share our money? Are we generous? It just, those kind of things kind of tickled in for me this morning. Like, if it's an inside job, how is that going to be? And I think a lot of it will have to do with our relationships to our material things. Are we able to lose every bit of our materialism and not freak out? Are we, as long as we have enough comfort to have safety and security, will that be enough? Or will we be, are we so beholden to our things that it'll be catastrophic to us? What is our relationship with education? Do we like the educational system where we're told how to think and how everything is homogenized? Or do we have a hope for some kind of different educational system that allows for each individual's creativity to come out and for their own uniqueness to be appreciated, even though it might be different than yours? And looking at things like the government, like, what is your relationship with authority? Do you bow to authority mindlessly? Are you afraid of authority? Are you a sheep and follow, what you're told without discernment? Or do you rebel and, do you get yourself in trouble because you don't have respect for authority? So where is the balance with that? And, with authority and government and anyone who's, telling you what to do. What other systems? I'm just trying to think of other things that could be changing. Oh, medicine, with medicine, do you watch the commercials and run out and, tell your doctor you need that medication right away? Do you take care of your health? Are you sovereign within your health? I mean, we all have our genetic makeup and our proclivities towards different diseases or problems. but they can be lessened or even abated through epigenetics and, how we express the genes through our behaviors and our thoughts and our actions. And so I think we're seeing these medical systems, changing and shifting and maybe collapsing. We're very pharmaceutical driven. And, what is your relationship with that? If there was some kind of stopgap with medications, would you be able to hold yourself? And, how could you hold yourself through, prayer and the mind and and the body, other means where you can maybe hurdle some obstacles that could be in our way as systems do change. So those are just ideas I'm throwing out there. I think the most important thing is to be in a place of trust, excuse me, not in a place of fear, being in our heart, really being heart-centered when we look at things and having compassion for someone else. I think another thing that we're going to need to examine is the duality of, this person is liberal, this person's conservative, they're a gun toting, Republican, or they're a, this or that liberal. And we're going to need to realize that, everybody is a human and everybody has everything in them. It's just what's being expressed. So dealing with our shadow is going to be especially important. And what I found when people became so upset about, certain political things that came up in the last 8 years was it was in some ways people not dealing with their shadow, oh, this person is this. Well, how is that adjective something that you hold that you're not willing to look at? So doing shadow work is, I think, really important. And two shadow workers that are in my forefront mind right now is Byron Katie and Debbie Ford. They both have books, and Byron Katie has so much out there on shadow work that I think it's helpful for all of us to just do the shadow work or review the shadow work that we've already learned, because that's going to be crucial when we navigate these opportunities really of change that are coming up for our world, where this plutonic event, of change is happening slowly, but eventually will happen. And, we'll look back and say, wow, that was then, this is now. So in readying ourselves, we'll be prepared to step away from the then and go into the now. So thanks for listening.